What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting these possibilities for you to consider, enabling you to come up with your own conclusions. Ladies and gentlemen, code breakers around the world, wherever you may be, my name is Logan. I'm going to be your tour guide for this presentation on the great man, Sir Robert Edward Grant. This is Sir Robert Edward Grant, architect. Very specific reason why I've named it that. And it was because I got inspired by watching this video, this interview that Emilio Ortez and him did. And now, I mean, it's all over the place. And so many of you are now playing with the Chat GPT, what they call the architect. I didn't even know it existed until I watched this. But it's called the architect. And it's so fascinating that he has this full-blown conversation. And he plugged all his information into it. And his birth card in the tarot is the architect. That's right. So my final answer, ladies and gentlemen, we're living in a predestined scripted reality. We're connecting the dots, we're remembering, but that doesn't take away any of his genius and what he's doing. Here's his birth card. Covered this in the first one. Card number 29, notice the pyramids, the tetrahedrons and octahedrons on there. 3. 3 is tied to the pyramid, man, the 3 sides of the pyramid. But anyway, this is the big takeaway. His birth card, May 16th, the architect, 67th card in the tarot. And it just so happens that Yahweh Elohim in the Hebrew numerology equals the number 67. So there you go. So architect, and here's the great website called teachmetarot.com. And I mean, I knew, because I have a lot of these keywords memorized, and I knew that the 3 of Pentacles is the architect, the builder, man. And that's exactly what he's doing. And again, the uncanny aspects of him playing around with the architect. And I would say he doesn't know this, but now he does. So it's pretty amazing. So go to his website, give him some love. He's got some tours coming out. Try to go and join over in Europe. I hope to be a part of one of those one day. But again, Robert, if you're watching this, man, reach out to me. Here's my email. I would love to join forces. I have so much information that I have as a code breaker to kind of mesh up with your great work. I would love to be able to join forces and to go deeper, at least do a podcast together. But at the very least, I'd love to reach out, work out with you. So reach out if you can. So here are the topics of conversation. Get all that stuff out of the way for this presentation. Number 1, Sir Grant birthday. I'm going to cover his birthday. Number 2, Sir Grant pi and phi. Number 3, we're going to get into some Egypt, of course, the Ra, the Ba, and the Ka. Number 4, 3.141 Grant. Number 5, what the pyramids are made of, limestone and granite. This one will blow your mind. There will be no doubt. There will be no doubt how valuable chemistry is. And the final topic is I am that I am. Okay, so without further ado, let me give you the methodologies that I use for this presentation. These are in no particular order, but this is important to kind of set the groundwork here, what I'm going to be using. These are my tools. One of them is chemistry. The periodic table, folks, we are made up of these elements. They are embedded in the Great Pyramid, as I showed in so many other. I've decoded, if you go to my Decode Your Reality channel, I've decoded Khufu 5 times. I got 4 times. I've got 4 videos on Khufu, right? So, and I showed how important chemistry is. So here is copper. Why copper? It's electric. Copper is electric. We have copper wiring. It's 29 for its protons. It matches his birth card, the 29th element. Copper top batteries, Duracell. We have numerology in here as well. We're going to be introducing and using the pi and phi ciphers exclusively for this presentation. We're going to bring in some mathematics, pi and phi themselves, along with some prime numbers, how valuable prime numbers are. The playing cards attached to the tarot, here are Robert Edward Grant's birth cards and tarot cards. And these lead to sacred geometry, DNA, spiral, all that stuff, especially the latitude, longitude, as we know, ends up adding up to the number 60. This is how valuable the longitude and latitude is where you're located, what energy is coming down to your location, your birth location, et cetera, et cetera. They're so important to look at. So let's get into the first topic of conversation, Sir Grant birthday. I'm going to go right to and show you one of the tools that we're going to be using for this presentation. We're going to get into his birthday right here. Before I get into that, I want to show you, for those of you that are new, all we have done at decoda.co/decoding, not .com, .co. All we have done is taken the 26 letters of the alphabet and just matched them up with the 26 numbers of the golden ratio. That's all we did. It's very simple, and it is powerful. It's one of my default ciphers. So all I had to do, and I'm going to be doing his name, and you're going to be wowed with that. You can do this with your birthday. But because this man is so dialed in, here's his birthday, May 16th. Spelling it out now, right? This is the code. This is like an HTML coder. C#. Coding a website. This is the divine coding the final product called life, man. May 16th, 1969. It's a 151. And all I have to do is go right to the golden ratio itself and go 29 digits. And we get that match. Just remember, folks, his birth card is the 29th card in the deck. Just want to be very transparent. Here's the boilerplate card chart. Here's May coming down to the 16th. There it is, the 3 of diamonds. Okay. So how about that, folks? 29 digits. The total is 151, and it matches up with his birthday through numerology when you spell it out. Come on, man. Scripted, folks. 29 latitude north of the pyramid. Yeah, he was supposed to come and do all this stuff. And he's continuing on doing it. But these are no-brainers. And again, this is how powerful this cipher is right here. We're going to get into the pi ciphers as well. Okay, with that right there. But then we can use that same methodology and going into the string of the golden ratio and locate that number 29 and then just add it up just like we did with his birthday. And we get 821, and we go into mathematics. That is a prime number that will lead into chemistry, and it will lead into a very, very, very important element on the periodic table, neodymium. That's why Neo from the Matrix was the savior. Neodymium has 5 stable isotopes. One of them, its most abundant, is 142. And you see 60 protons is where you're going to add up and connect 29 plus 31. 60. See, that is how badass mathematics are with primes and chemistry. And on top of that, I have no doubt that the original specifications for the height of the Great Pyramid was 281 cubits. The mirror or number permutation of the 821. That's my final answer. No one will really know, but I like using the mathematics to line it up, and I know how specific the Great Pyramid is. Khafre, Khufu, it doesn't matter. They're specific. I have no doubt it's 281. I covered it in my Khufu Decoded. I went and did the conversion. 281 royal cubits. 281 being the 60th prime number. This is why I feel that the Great Pyramid was 281 cubits high. 281 being the 60, 60 being neodymium. And, as they have said, there's something underneath them. I've been saying this for a long time. Not the first one to say it. But is this thing magnetic? We live in an electromagnetic universe. This is how badass chemistry is and how dialed in these things are when it comes to numbers, letters, and symbols. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so let's now go back to the phi cipher. We're going to bring in another one, the pi cipher. Now, I have two pi ciphers I'm going to be using here for this presentation. The first one is the 3.144 pi. Now, this may be something new for you, but to me, this is the true value of pi, which I got off of this amazing genius as well, Jane 108 Academy, and he broke it all down. I'm going to leave this in the description in case you want to click on it and go and watch all of his videos. I'd love to join forces with him as well. He's an amazing person. I'd love to get him and Robert together in the same room. Wow. But this is where you'll find the 3.144 embedded into the 1.618, et cetera, et cetera. So this is an important cipher. So we did the same thing. We took 26 letters and the first 26 numbers of 3.144 pi, and this is what we got. It's interesting because it repeats right there after digit number 19. So then we also have the 3.141 cipher, doing the same thing, A through Z, 3.14159 all the way down to the Z. Okay, this is how we got that. So these are the tools that we're going to be using, and you can find those exclusively on this website right here. Notice the .co. There's no .com. It's .co, and this is completely free. There are no memberships. You go on there, and I have the most ciphers out of anybody in the business today. So go ahead and start decoding yourself over there. So let's go into his name and look at how dialed in this man is, using one of the fundamentals he uses, the golden ratio, right? You take a name. You can do this with your name, birth certificate name, most important name you have, stamped into the cosmos. Well, his outcome is 69, which is the yin yang, of course. And what about the 3.144? 69. He's got a double 69 here, folks, with these two. Pi and phi it's 4.75. It's an amazing sequence of mathematical preciseness. It's amazing. So here they are together. Pi and phi, light into matter. I feel phi is light and pi is matter. Light into matter. Light into the perfect circle, which is time, the wheel of time. 69, twice he has it in both ciphers. So then I'm going to attach chemistry to this. This is what we do. Numerology into chemistry. Mathematics into numerology into chemistry. I have all the arrows there. You can see that now we're attaching to the longitude. The longitude, which, we're talking about pi now, and there's the pi cipher with the 69. Well, it just so happens that the 31st element, gallium, has the most abundant isotope of 69. Again, 31 is the longitude east for the Great Pyramid of Giza. Another big, huge connection for Sir Robert Edward Grant, especially with these two right here. So I'm going to show you how important these are and why these ciphers matter and why you should include them in your decoding efforts, because the spoken language are the spells that we speak. So the golden ratio, that's what it's called, in its own cipher gives us an outcome of 56. Those of you that have been paying attention, you know this means the movie. 56 is on a soccer ball, the most popular sport in the world, the pentagram and the hexagon, the 5-pointed, 6-pointed. Pi, that's how we call it this, ends up becoming the number 4. So now I have two outcomes that I can add up, 56 and 4. We get the total of 60, and remember what that 60 was? The latitude, longitude of the Great Pyramid of Giza, you see. So the latitude, 29 is the golden ratio. The longitude is pi. Both 3.144 and 3.141. This one I feel is the true pi, but it doesn't matter. They're all code. It leads to the neodymium element. This neodymium is extremely magnetic. Some of the strongest magnets in the world. Look at the icon the Royal Society of Chemistry uses. Hello, doesn't get any more obvious than that. 8 spheres encompassing another sphere with a tetrahedron in the middle. And this is all clue here, neodymium. This is, again, why Neo from The Matrix, Keanu Charles Reeves, was named Neo. It means the new twin, right? And all these outcomes right here, the melting point and the boiler, this is all code. Melting point The golden ratio, those numbers are number permutations. The boiling point, most of you should know what that 374 is. It means God. Okay, this is all sublimation and energy transfer and all that kind of stuff. So, going further with chemistry and Sir Robert Edward Grant, and now we can get into some more ancient Egypt and just connect the dots. His birth card, again, is the 29th card in the deck. It matches the latitude north. The element silicon has several stable isotopes. This is one of them. Silicon is the future of the world. Silicon Valley, they make silicon chips in computers. We're living inside of a computer. Silicon Valley, 29 is one of its isotopes. And then when you say Ra, Ba, and Ka, it gives you 14. I'm going to get into this topic. The Ra to the Ba to the Ka. This is all ancient Egypt. This is the soul and the spirit, and Ra being the sun, light. Well, you notice that it's 743, which is a permutation of the 347, which is the 69th prime number. He was born in 1969. I'm going to get into why this is so important. But this is a big humdinger right here, the silicon, right? Going back to the gallium and the 69 and the longitude. See these connections, folks? Are you seeing these connections? Here's the 29 for the latitude, and then I just go back to his name in both pi and phi ciphers, and you get the 31 longitude. This is how we are created in this reality, through letters, numbers, and symbols. It's exactly how it works. So let's get into this topic of Ra, Ba, and Ka. I have a full decode on the Ra and the Ba. I'm a fanatic of the Ra. Been for a while. The Egyptian sun god. Well, here's kind of the breakdown. Press pause if you have to. I'm not going to go and narrate everything, but Ra's the sun, Ba's the soul, Ka is the life force. I'm regurgitating this, but this is what the historicity is of it. And so, of course, you can spell it out on the periodic table. Now, I want to be clear. I added the A in there for reference because this element is only K, but it's Kalium. K-A-L-I-U-M. It's the element potassium, but in Latin, it's Kalium. And I know this to be true. The Ra to the Ba to the Ka. And, you know, Robert knows he was born on May 16th, which is the 137th day of the year in leap years. And there it is right there. Remember what that 56 was? Right back up here. The golden ratio spelled out in the golden ratio cipher. See, this is how dialed in this barium is. Ba, which is the soul. Okay? The soul, man. All this is ancient Egypt kind of stuff. So going back to this formula again and adding in the gallium from his name from the longitude east and taking into the equation silicon, which has the latitude north there. Well, what do you see here? Well, that's pi, 3.141. These are number permutations. That's really what it's all about, folks. All of it. And then 69 being his numerology here. Well, the 69 being here and being right here. 347 is the 69th prime number. There it is. 347. The Ra, the Ba, and the Ka. When you spell them out in the pi cipher. Why pi? Pi is the longitude. Pi is the circle, the disk that we live on. Earth. Time. Tied to the monad and light and all that kind of stuff. And then when you add up the neutrons, protons, and electrons of silicon and gallium for the latitude, longitude, you get 143, which is another stable, another stable isotope of neodymium, the 60th element. This is pi, man. 3.14, that's pi, a permutation of it. That's how these things work in the code. 60 being the latitude, longitude of the Great Pyramid of Giza. These are so fascinating, folks. You can play around with the phi cipher. I'm not giving it all away, but let's get into the next topic now, 3.141 Grant. Now I'm going to use the latitude, longitude with the outcome of chemistry straight up and how it's going to segue into pi, the 3.141 pi. So I have a lot going on here. Let me tell you what this is all about. These are my discoveries. The Ankh is the symbol of Venus. Why? Because Venus is spirit into matter. And this is what keeps the game going over and over and over, because it's love. And Venus is the star that heralds the sun. So Venus is love, and the Christ, which means the sun, is light, love and light. But it is the serpent. Love is the serpent. Okay? That's how all this stuff works, man. This is how big the serpent is in all of this. But here it is, straight up with the elements on the periodic table and the protons matching up with the latitude, longitude. It's copper, which is the element that is associated with Venus. And it is gallium. Remember, his name is 69, Robert Edward Grant, in both ciphers. But now I'm going to add in the 3.141 cipher combined with the 1.61 cipher. And now we have a complete axis here. We have the isotopes of copper and gallium, 69 and 63. You see how dialed in this is for him, and why he is so fixated on the pyramids? Why he has been over there many times and done all these, slept in the pyramids many nights. If I was him, I'd be bringing in some copper and gallium as metals, and that's what I would probably carry in the pyramids with me. I bet you get even more downloads there. That's just kind of for fun stuff. So bringing into the 3.141 cipher, and again, you can do this with your name, and you should, to see how dialed in you may be. Well, again, it's 63. That is the isotope 63, the most abundant for copper. Copper is very electric. And, you know, it's interesting because copper on the periodic table, when you go to it, it has two pyramids on it. I mean, this is the icon chosen for copper. I mean, what do you see right there? Hello, it's a kind of a no-brainer there, right? It fits on top of that pyramid there. So again, 63, 63, 29, 29. Copper is very electric. Okay, and why the snake there? Because it's the copperhead snake, a poisonous pit viper. That's why love is the serpent, poisonous. For a different story, but let's continue doing some numerology to show you how dialed in this is, using that 3.141 cipher. The Latin title for copper is cuprum or cuprum. And gallium is gallium, and there's pi again. 31 and 41 is 3.141. It's right there. You can't miss that right there. So this is how dialed in the 3.141 pi is into the Great Pyramid of Giza. Again, tied to Venus, spirit into matter, and the Ankh, and everlasting life, and the serpent and transformation. And this is the bronze serpent in the Old Testament where Moses lifted it up, man. That's what it's tied to. Giving you eternal, giving you safe passage. Okay? Because the Bible is created from the ancient book of the dead, the Egyptian book of the dead, excuse me. All kind of regurgitated. So, let's do some more mathematics. We're going to take the latitude, longitude, move it into the periodic table, copper and gallium. We're going to do the molar mass, it's called, of copper and gallium, the most abundant. 63 and 69, 132. 132 is tied to the number 743 through the primes. And remember what Ra and Ba and Ka is. 743. 743 is a permutation of the 347. 69. This man was born in 1969. His life path is 109. And 109 is the 29th prime number, which is the 10th prime number, which leads to the letter Yod in Hebrew. So these are big. These are big humdingers here, man. And there's more to this that I'm showing you here. There's much more to this. Way much more to it than this. So we're going to go back and we're going to combine and we're going to take a look at his birthday. I have him highlighted. 69, 69, 69, 69 from the 347 to the 743. But you see, he was born on the 16th. What is your element? From 1 to 31, you're going to be an element. Well, he's got the 16. Guess what he's got? Sulfur. This is the icon chosen from the Royal Society of Chemistry. What do you see on there as the icon? Doesn't it look like this? Yep. That's why chemistry is so powerful. And I know they're not curtailing this to Robert Edward Grant, but because he's born in the 16th, this is exactly the reason why. Sulfur is fire, which is tied to light. S is the 19th letter. I mean, I can go and show you and type in Khufu is 19 in the golden ratio cipher. This is the 19th letter in the alphabet. S as in serpent, as in snake. How big the snake is in all of this. The nahas. Sulfur. So we bring in sulfur, and it matches in the golden ratio with Khufu. Well, now you know why there's a pyramid on it, and now you know the value of the 1.61 golden ratio cipher. Why I have it as a default cipher on the Decoded website. Because that's how powerful it is. And you can do this with your name, etc., etc. Then, what I decided to do was take his full birth certificate name and add Khufu, the biggest pyramid, add it to his name. I've done this many times with so many other people, the inventions they make. And what do we get? Ra, man. We get Ra. So it was inevitable. See, he didn't discover all this stuff. It discovered him. He's the instrument. I don't take anything away from his genius, mentality, his intelligence. But the mind of man, it's not our own. The thoughts we're having, they're not our thoughts. They're coming into our mind, but they're not originating from us. This is divine, supernatural, call it whatever you want. But, I mean, you're seeing this, right? The Ra, the Ba, and the Ka. Ra being the sun god. Light. Sulfur being tied to fire and light and the sun. The sun is plasma. That's how big this is. 88. What happens when you add 8 and 8? You get 16. And 1 plus 6 is 7. And all I got to do is go to the tarot and show you the 7th card in the tarot. What's the 7th card in the tarot? 88 and 16. What do they reduce down to? 7. The Chariot. What is the Chariot? It's Ra going across the sky. 7 is El. If you flip this upside down, and El is God. That's how easy this stuff is, man. You just got to pay attention, right? The paintbrush here is because it's tied to the architect. Ra being tied to the architect. So just kind of recapping on this, folks, how big this Ra, the Ba, and the Ka is, the 743, the 347, the 69th prime number. This is how big this is. Silicon. Silicon is the future. The future. Silicon discs. Chips. The silicon chips. So let's get into the tail end of this now. I hope you made it this far because this one's going to blow you away. This is only 2 slides, but wow. I've covered this in my first one. Limestone and granite. This is what they were made up of. 5.5 million tons of limestone, 8,000 tons of granite. These are the main components of the pyramids. Or at least Khufu and Khafre. Khufu being the big takeaway. Limestone, when you do the chemistry of it, it's called calcium carbonate. Calcium, carbon, and oxygen. And then granite, silicon dioxide. There's that silicon. There's that silicon. See, it's all chemistry. Silicon dioxide, silicon, and oxygen. And then guess what happens when you add them all up, folks? You get the freaking golden ratio. When you add up the average isotopes using the double digits past the decimal, you get 160.18. Well, what do you have here? 1.618. That's the golden ratio. 1.618. Right there. Even the 0 in there is part of the golden ratio, folks. This is the golden ratio tied to the freaking ingredients of the pyramid. Yeah. That's how amazing phi is and chemistry in all of this. All right, let's get to the final topic now. I am that I am. I am you. I am me. Well, I went ahead and I just did what I did with the golden ratio and pi. I went and used the latitude, longitude, 29 and 31. 29, phi, 29. 31, 31, pi. Add them up, 84. You know what this numerology is tied to? I am that I am in Hebrew. How about that? Coincidence? No, you see, these are mathematically precise things in our reality. This is the value of these ciphers. Huge. 84. Well, how does that tie to Sir Robert Edward Grant? Well, you see, I went to neodymium, the element, because he's so tied to it. And I just subtracted the discovery date of neodymium and his birthday year. And I mean, what would the odds be that he's got the 84? 84 years in between neodymium, which is the latitude, longitude addition 2931. He's all about it. It's got a freaking pyramid for the icon. It's magnetic. I know the pyramids are magnetic. It's like a big speaker, if you ask me, broadcasting some kind of trance, I think. Harmonics, cymatics. I think it's a speaker. But anyway, that's for a different story. So there you go, folks. Robert Edward Grant, Sir Robert Edward Grant, architect, Decoded. And Robert, if you made it all the way to the end, thank you for watching. And again, please connect. I would love to start working on stuff with you. It would be great. If you know how to get a hold of Robert, maybe you can put us in touch. But that's all I got for today, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later.